Product-centric industries are substantially different from service-centric, and their ERP needs differ. So, which are the top 10 ERP systems for 2024? That's what we are going to discuss in this video. So, let's dive in. Hello everyone, my name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with enterprise technology selection, digital transformation strategy, change management, as well as implementation. On that note, let's go back to today's topic, which is going to be the top 10 ERP systems for product-centric industries in 2024. This is the new list that we have launched this year, so we are not going to have much of a comparison from the last year. So first, let's define which are the product-centric industries. And these are going to be companies that sell products as part of their offerings, and which is going to be your manufacturing, retail, distribution centric companies. Typically, the ERP processes or the business processes differ substantially, and that's why the ERP systems that are going to be designed for product-centric industries, they are different. In general, when you look at different ERP systems, you might not be able to spot these differences, but you need to compare these at the transaction level. Then only you will be able to understand where they differ. So the criteria that we use to compile this list is the product share, the acquisition strategy, whether the ERP system is winning logos focused on product-centric enterprises. We look at the product roadmap, the community ecosystem, win rate, technology, etc. So these are some of the variables that we use to compile this list. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is Odoo. And when you look at Odoo, it's a great choice for product-centric startups outgrowing QuickBooks. In general, the Odoo data model as well as the process model is going to be friendlier for these companies. It is not going to have as many business rules that you are going to find with other slightly bigger ERP systems. In general, when you compare the product-centric companies versus the service-centric companies, the service-centric ERP systems, they tend to be slightly more flexible from the workflow automation perspective. Their processes are not going to be as formalized as your product-centric companies, and the ERP systems designed for product-centric companies, they are going to be slightly thicker overall with their MRP processes. They are going to be far deeper with respect to their costing. The suite that they are going to construct is going to be very different as well. For example, when you look at the manufacturing verticals, they are probably going to have suites such as your CAD, PLM. They might have MES depending upon whether they are operating in the manufacturing space or retail space. If they are going to be in the retail space, then their suite is going to be even different. They are going to have your merchandising, planning, the whole S&OP suite. So that is how your product versus the service ERP systems generally differ. So now when you look at Odoo, Odoo is going to be friendlier for startups. It does not have as deep core ERP functions. It's going to be richer in many other areas that the smaller businesses are going to care for example, marketing automation, or if you are trying to host your entire website or CRM, all of those pieces are going to be far stronger. Yes, the ERP component is going to be there, but that is going to help you more from the transactional capabilities perspective, not necessarily the mature or advanced capabilities. So some of the strengths that we have for Odoo is if you're limited on budget and your team does not have as much implementation experience, then Odoo could be a great system. Now, ecosystem and development help. Since the ecosystem is open source, you have a lot more developers and the technical help that is available in very affordable rates that you might not be able to find with the other ecosystems. Now, the other strength that Odoo has is it is globalized and localized in many different countries. So sometimes these countries may not have the other ERP systems that we have on this list. So for those countries, Odoo could be a great fit. Odoo can also accommodate many different business models, even though the product model, the data model is going to be friendlier for product-centric companies, but it can accommodate some of the other business models as well. And that's why it is very good for diverse startups. Now, some of the cons that we are going to see with Odoo is it's not going to have as deep ERP layers or the mature capabilities that you are going to find with the other systems. Overall, since this is a very open source centric systems, so they don't have as much governance overall in terms of the code quality as well as the governance of the workflows. So sometimes what is going to happen is even though they have some community driven controlled process, but because of that, sometimes you might have the fixes that might not be as well tested or they might not be as well secured, and you might get that in your instance and because of that it might cause disruptions. And the ecosystem does not also have the business consulting expertise. There are some companies that might have that, but for the most part, the ecosystem is going to have a lot of different accounting firms or the development firms. So the whole business insights or the business consulting expertise is missing. And because of that, we see a lot of instances where Odoo is very heavily customized. And because of that, companies don't get the business results and they run into the implementation challenges. So these are some of the factors for Odoo, but given its pros and cons, it ranks at number 10 on this list. Now, number 9 on our list is Oracle Cloud ERP. For the most part, if you look at the number of logos that Oracle Cloud ERP has, they are going to have a lot more logos in the service-centric verticals than in the product-centric verticals. Their verticals are going to be the public sector, the media, telco. All of those companies use Oracle Cloud ERP a lot more than any of your manufacturing, distribution, retail. They might have some presence in the retail space as well, but for the most part, any deeper manufacturing companies, even if they are probably going to use it as the corporate financial ledger when they might have the other operational system at the subsidiary level or in a tier 2 arrangement. So for product-centric enterprises, if you plan to use Oracle Cloud ERP, number one, this is meant for large global enterprises. It is not necessarily your SMB solution. So if you're going to be probably $1 billion plus, then it would probably make sense for your company to use in a best of breed architecture. And from the Oracle Cloud ERP perspective, the other strength that you are going to have with this is you are going to have the bundled WMS and TMS capabilities that you might not find with the other systems. This is going to be part of your suite, but there are always going to be pros and cons of each of the approaches. So here, if your WMS architecture is going to be tightly coupled with your ERP architecture, then it could make sense. But sometimes that could be for companies, they might want to isolate the WMS architecture because they might be preferring to have the WMS running 24/7, or they simply want to decouple to gain the operational efficiency. So some of those drivers can drive whether WMS need to be tightly bundled or embedded experience with ERP, or it needs to be slightly more siloed. Some ERP systems can support both of the architecture. In the case of Oracle, that is probably going to be embedded experience. So that is the choice that you need to make for your architecture. Now, when you look at Oracle Cloud ERP, again, the product is designed for very large workloads. where you are going to have the workloads of Fortune 500. For Oracle Cloud ERP has been proven to handle that, but it might not be handling everything as the global ERP system, including your operational workloads. For the most part, it might be used as the corporate financial ledger. So that is a very different architecture in general compared to when you are going to be hosting all of your entities, including your MRP workloads in one system. That's where you require a far more heavy lifting. So that's where Oracle Cloud ERP is probably going to be beneficial in the best of breed architecture as the corporate financial ledger. The other strength Oracle has is its ecosystem, which is generally very good across the globe. So if you're in a country where you might not have talent available, then Oracle Cloud ERP could be a great choice. Some of the limitations that we have from Oracle Cloud ERP perspective is, number one, the last mile capabilities that you are going to find with it, they are not going to be as comprehensive as you may be able to find with the other systems. The integrations that you are going to have, they are not going to be product-centric focused, just because the focus of the ERP system is on the service-centric enterprises and not necessarily a product-centric solution that we have already touched, and it might be overwhelming for SMBs. So that's Oracle Cloud ERP, and that's number 9. Now, number 8 on our list is Epicor Prophet 21. Epicor Prophet 21, you are going to find, among industrial distributors. It does really well there. It's very heavily penetrated. So some of the strengths of Epicor Prophet 21 when you are utilizing. So if you are a pure play industrial distributor, this could be a great system, but it's not going to be as great when you are going to have slightly more diversified business model where you have multiple business models as part of your business. When you have that, then Epicor Prophet 21 may not be able to scale. So some of the strengths that you are going to find with Epicor Prophet 21 is you are going to get very deep last mile functionality designed for specific verticals inside industrial distributor space. You are also going to find a pre-integrated suite that is going to be out of the box. So if you are going to be limited on budget, then it could be a great system, but this might not be a great system when you are trying to integrate any of the best of breed tools, whether they are going to be your shipping tools or any other tools that you might use. If you are going to bring them and if you are trying to change a lot, then that could become equally expensive. Sometimes you might run into challenges because the model is very fixed in terms of the suite that Epicor Prophet 21 is trying to promote. So if you get the complete suite, then it could be a great system. And that's why it is great for slightly more prescriptive architecture in terms of the tool that you might be able to utilize. You are not going to find as many tools in their marketplace as you might be able to find with systems such as your NetSuite, Acumatica, SAP, Oracle, etc. The weaknesses for Epicor Prophet 21 from the product-centric company's perspective is that it's going to have limited capabilities to support diverse business models. The technology is going to be slightly more legacy, even though they have been re-architecting this for the cloud, but still the underlying infrastructure, underlying code base is still legacy. The ecosystem is going to be limited as well. So that's number 8. Number 7 on our list is Acumatica. And Acumatica is a great fit for product-centric companies that are going to be in that $10 to $100 million range. In general, the way Acumatica product is designed, it has many different editions for different product-centric enterprises. So, for example, if you're going to be light manufacturing, distribution, retail, all of these companies can host their business model in one database, in one system. But it's going to be slightly limiting from their global footprint perspective. It is not going to have globalization in as many countries, and when you are going to be present in these global countries, the exploring synergies between those countries might be challenging because the way the product is designed, you can have fewer currencies as part of your tenant, and then you will not be able to share the synergies between these global installations. So most likely you are going to have the individual tenants for each of those countries, and that's why Acumatica does really well in slightly more domestic or for North American install base. The strength for Acumatica is that it can support both of the B2B and B2C product models. If you are going to look for any sort of integrations or the ecosystem marketplace, they have the tools, technologies to support both of these business models and multiple business models, including your field services or construction. When you are going to have those business models as part of your manufacturing or distribution, it can support both of those. The other advantage that you're going to have with Acumatica is the cloud native UI as well as flexible pricing. Cloud native UI is friendly for companies that are looking for very cloud native experience when they care for features such as your enterprise search or they care for mobility. That's where your cloud native experience is going to be really good. Even though other systems might claim that they are cloud systems as well, but their cloud native capabilities are not going to be as mature. The functional capabilities might be weaker with Acumatica, but overall the technical capabilities are going to be far richer. The flexible pricing option could be a pro and con as far as the scope of product-centric companies go. So for the most part, the way flexible pricing options work is if you are going to look for the consumption-based pricing, generally, if you are going to be a very transactional business, for example, let's say if you're a retail business, for those businesses, the consumption-based pricing may be more expensive. Yes, they have the other translations, for example, named user price or the concurrent user price, but they are merely the translation. So they could be equally expensive as well. So in general, if you're not a very transactional business, then Acumatica could be a great fit. But if you are going to be a transactional business, then sometimes the pricing could be all over the place and it could be very challenging to estimate this pricing in the future as well. So that is something you need to keep in mind. The other limitations that you have with Acumatica is the mobile reporting that you are going to find with some of the other systems that we have on this list. They might be slightly richer. With Acumatica, it's not going to be as detailed in terms of reporting when it comes to the detailed either industrial distribution capabilities or the manufacturing capabilities. And then when you are going to get into these complex manufacturing scenarios, you are going to require a lot more add-ons than you would with the other systems. So that's number 7. Now, number 6 on our list is Epicor Kinetic. Epicor Kinetic is a system that targets complex manufacturing, engineer to order centric spaces. So when you are going to have the combination of manufacturing, distribution, operations, and sometimes retail as well, Epicor Kinetic does really well in those spaces. The way Epicor Kinetic product model and data model is designed, it's extremely friendly for product-centric enterprises, especially when you are going to get into these formal engineering or manufacturing spaces where your revision number is going to be absolutely critical. You need that to be able to start your processes. And if you have that, then Epicor Kinetic is going to be slightly more relatable for your users. Also, when you have industries such as your metal, fasteners, medical device, all of those industries are going to have very complex inventory needs, and they are not going to have these inventory attributes at the product level just for reporting or analysis. They are going to have these attributes also for the planning. Some of the other systems, manufacturing systems that we have, they might have the product attributes, but they might not utilize this for planning, scheduling. That's where Epicor Kinetic really shines. It does utilize for that. So that's why in these spaces, Epicor Kinetic could be a great system. The other strengths for Epicor Kinetic is it's very Microsoft look and feel. So if you are coming from or if you're migrating from any of the Microsoft ERP systems, the transition may not be as big. The limitation for Epicor Kinetic is the financial layers. The financial layers are not going to be as robust as your SAP or Oracle, so it's not necessarily designed for upper mid-market or the enterprise segment. It is for the most part the SMB centric solution with primarily with 3 different financial layers. You might find 4 or 5 with slightly bigger systems. Then the other limitations that you have with Epicor, at least as of today, they have acquired the field service add-ons that they're one of the ISVs used to own. So they are going to have that embedded experience, but having that might take some time to completely integrate and completely roll out with the installation. So right now, as of today, they are not going to have as embedded experience for the field service as well as the quality processes. Their ecosystem as well as the marketplace is probably going to be weaker compared to the other vanilla ERP systems. So that's number 6. Now, number 5 on our list is Infor Cloud Suite LN or M3. Just quick note that these two are completely different products, but the reason why we bundle them together, especially for the product-centric companies, is that they have completely different markets that they are trying to attack, and as such, from the branding perspective, Infor is trying to bundle all of this as part of Infor Cloud Suite. So they don't necessarily differentiate between LN and M3. When you are going to go to them, they are probably going to have industry specific suites, and sometimes you don't even know which particular ERP system you are buying. But as such, they are very different product. They are completely different code base as well as the database that you are looking at. So here, LN is going to be slightly more discrete centric system. That is one of the most comprehensive system that you are going to find for automotive aerospace centric verticals. The M3 system is going to be relevant for chemical, retail, apparel centric spaces. That's where M3 really shines. These systems are really designed for the upper mid market, lower enterprise segments, and they have all of these layers of international trade, international supplier collaboration. All of these things are going to be part of the suite. The other things that you are going to find with the suite is, especially when it comes to product-centric companies, is going to be your CAD, PLM, WMS, TMS. All of those capabilities are going to be pre-integrated as part of the suite. So if you're going to be on budget for your implementation, these systems could be a great fit. But again, this is also a prescriptive architecture. So if you are buying everything from Infor, these systems could be great, but if you are trying to build that best of breed architecture, then they could be as expensive as any other system. So these are some of the points that you need to keep in mind. The strengths for Infor Cloud Suite LN M3, they are really designed for those global operations. They are going to have all of those financial layers as well as the operational layers that you are going to need for your supply chain collaboration as well as the financial collaboration. The other strengths that you have is it's one of the most comprehensive, diversified manufacturing business models. For example, let's say if you look at the smaller manufacturing systems, they are going to claim that they are all mixed mode, but generally they are going to be weaker in some of the processes. The systems that are designed for slightly more make to stock centric manufacturing processes, they are not going to be as deep with their WBS centric processes. And even the systems from Infor, the smaller systems, they don't necessarily have all of those comprehensive capabilities. And even if they are going to be designed for manufacturing, sometimes they might not be able to support the other business models, such as your distribution business models that are generally part of most of the manufacturing companies. And even if they have the domestic capabilities, they might not have the international capabilities. So that's where Infor, LN, and M3 really shine. And then the best of breed integration that you are going to get with Suite, they are extremely powerful. They are flavored for these specific micro verticals. Enabling those on top of vanilla ERP would be very expensive in general. Now, the limitations that you are going to run into with Infor Cloud Suite LN M3 is they are not best for, let's say, if you are trying to standardize your holding company or companies that you have in your portfolio, or you are part of private equity and you are trying to buy just one system that can cater to many different business models. For those scenarios, unless you are pure play manufacturing, it might be slightly difficult to use this as either corporate financial ledger or a standardized system for all of the companies, all of the business models in your portfolio. The experience is still going to be legacy, and the UI is legacy as well. So that might increase your training, learning time, etc. And the ecosystem and the marketplace is not as comprehensive as some of the other systems on this list. Number 4 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. The overall philosophy of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central from the design perspective is it's designed for slightly more global enterprises. So you are going to have far deeper ERP capabilities, but you might not have as rich last mile capabilities, for which it is going to rely on the marketplace partners to enable all of those capabilities. As far as the scope of product-centric companies go, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central does really well in the retail-centric CPG, FMCG-centric verticals. It does not do as well in the industrial distribution, complex manufacturing, for which you would require a lot more add-ons. You are going to require a lot more integration that might be slightly more expensive to integrate as well as build, that you can find with some of the other systems if that is going to be your priority and you are going to be on budget and you don't necessarily have that internal maturity. But in certain spaces, for example, let's say if you look at some of the global locations where your Inforce and Epicors of the world might not be available, and that's where your Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is going to be handy. In those cases, you don't necessarily have a choice, so you have to use just this system. The other strengths for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central that you're going to find is the ecosystem as well as global capabilities. The ecosystem is very strong, so when you are going to have these diversified business model and you are looking for a centralized layer, but then that needs to be augmented by many different add-ons. You have very reputable companies that are building their IP on top of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. So that can provide the streamlined layer, especially for if you're going to be part of the holding company or the private equity company. For those, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is a great system. The other limitations that you're going to find with Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is some of the add-ons that are promoted by VARs or ISVs, they might not be as proven. Sometimes it's very hard to find how many different installations they have, how many times they have been proven. So even if the core or the out-of-the-box Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central may be great, but these add-ons and ISVs may cause problems. And just because of those, the experience might not be as great. So sometimes the fully flavored systems might be slightly better, but if you know or if you can utilize the expertise to be able to vet these add-ons, if they are going to be as good as, or the code base is going to be as good as your Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, again, this could be a great choice. So that's number 4. Now, number 3 on our list is NetSuite, and NetSuite has very similar mindset as your Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. It is going to have the core financial core ERP layers, but when it comes to the depth in operational capabilities, it's not going to be as deep for the product-centric companies. The other strength with NetSuite is very similar to Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central as well, that if you're looking for slightly more diversified platform for the global install base in the SMB sector, then NetSuite could be a great system, but then you are going to require a lot more add-ons to augment and to be able to create the same operationally rich experience that you are going to find with many other systems on this list. So the other strength for NetSuite is it does really well in those B2C consumer-centric spaces, CPG spaces. When it comes to, for example, let's say if you look at the apparel retail or any of the brands that you are going to see in the retail outlets, that's where NetSuite is really, really strong, and the ecosystem is very strong in those spaces as well. They are going to have a lot more installations in those spaces than complex manufacturing, complex distribution. That's not their sweet spot. So the other strength that you have with NetSuite is the ecosystem, similar to your Microsoft ecosystem, where you are going to find a lot more add-ons in general to augment the core capabilities of NetSuite. The limitations with NetSuite is the B2B capabilities, the data model, the way it is designed, the B2B capabilities are not as scalable. They are not as mature as you are going to find with other systems such as Acumatica, which is going to have slightly scalable B2B layers that are not with NetSuite. The way product has evolved. It does not have as rich B2B capabilities from the pricing perspective. The way the product model is designed, it's slightly more CPG, B2C friendly. It might be okay for lighter manufacturing, lighter distribution, but when it comes to the real complex manufacturing distribution, NetSuite may not be the best system for you. And NetSuite is also not designed for larger companies. It's a very SMB-centric system. So that's number 3. Now, number 2 on our list is SAP S4HANA, and SAP S4HANA is great fit for those large global enterprise companies, especially if you are going to be publicly traded and you are looking to host all of those workloads, the global workloads that you are going to have in one system where you are going to centralize your planning. You are planning to centralize your MRP workloads. That's where SAP S4HANA could be a great system. It is going to provide you the overarching financial traceability as well as the operational traceability that you are going to need for your global workloads. The way the data model as well as the process model is designed, it is especially friendly for any of your product-centric companies, whether you are going to be in manufacturing, 3PL, distribution, retail, all of those companies. The other strengths for SAP S4HANA is the large workloads, especially if you're looking for Fortune 1000, Fortune 500 workloads. Those are the workloads where SAP S4HANA is proven. There are not going to be very many systems that can handle that kind of workload. So again, SAP S4HANA may be the only choice. And then you are going to find the best of breed architecture for large distributors. When you look at the solutions such as your EWM, your TMS, all of those capabilities are going to be integrated as part of your suite that would require substantial consulting effort with some of the other systems. And the financial traceability and control is going to be there for very financially regulated enterprises. The limitations with SAP S4HANA is the cloud version is still behind compared to the on-prem version. Their cloud version is still behind. The cloud version may not get the same capabilities that companies might be used to in their on-prem version, just because the architecture is very different. The way architecture is designed, it requires slightly deeper enterprise architecture expertise to be able to map out these processes in different best-of-breed systems. So it's a very different mindset, different architecture, but companies might struggle if they are simply looking at from the ERP lenses. They might not be able to understand why it is so complex, but it is designed for a reason. So you are not going to find the same operational capabilities in the cloud as you might be able to find with some of the other systems on that list. And then the pre-baked integrations that you are going to have are going to be limited as well, and it's going to be overwhelming for smaller organizations. So that's number 2. Now, number 1 on our list is Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O. If you look at the core capabilities of Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O, it's not going to be as deep from the financial layer perspective as your SAP or Oracle, but it is going to have far deeper operational capabilities, at least in their cloud version. It has the deepest capabilities in their cloud version, and it could work for the upper mid-market as well as the lower enterprise spaces. It's going to have all of those capabilities that regardless of whichever manufacturing model you are going to have, whether you have discrete process, whether you are WBS centric, make to stock, make to order, all of those capabilities are going to be bundled as part of the same product. A lot of systems in the market, they are going to claim that they have mixed mode manufacturing capabilities, but generally their capabilities are going to be leaner. In some areas, they are going to be deep in the other areas. Here with Microsoft Dynamics, you are looking at very robust capabilities when you look at the allocation layers, the number of layers that you're going to find, the kind of things that you are able to do when you are developing your rich ERP capabilities, when you are streamlining your planning workloads, when you are streamlining your scheduling. That's where your Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O could be a great system. Now, with Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O, the suite is not going to be as robust as you are going to find with other systems such as your Infor LN or Epicor Kinetic, Epicor Prophet 21. They are probably going to have far richer suite. for product-centric enterprises. Here for Suite, you are looking at the third-party add-ons. They are going to provide all of that. When you are looking at capabilities such as your configure to order, for those you will be relying on third-party. Whether you look at CAD, PLM, all of those integrations are probably going to be owned by third-party. With other systems, they are owned by the OEM themselves, and they are providing the pre-baked integration. So that's a real difference between the Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O and some of the other prescribed suites that we have on this list. But the other strength for Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O is their global presence and the consulting base that you are going to find. So in some cases, you might not even have, in those countries, you might not even have Inforce and Epicors of the world available. And that's where Microsoft Dynamics could be a great fit there, because you don't have any other systems. So now the other strength that we have for F&O is the cloud native architecture and the common data model that is integrated at the database level. So their best of breed suite, especially from the CRM and field service perspective, you are going to get that as part of the suite. Yes, that is going to be relevant for the product-centric enterprises, but it might not be as relevant as some of the other tools that they would definitely require. CAD, PLM, etc. is very relevant in the manufacturing-centric spaces. In retail-centric spaces, you are going to have the whole SNOP suite that is going to be extremely important, and for which you are relying on third-party. The weaknesses or the limitations that you have with F&O is the financial traceability and the audit support, especially for the public-centric companies or publicly traded companies, is not going to be as rich as SAPs or Oracles of the world. And it is not necessarily designed for those, at least as of today, it's not proven for those Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 workloads. And then it's also overwhelming for very small companies. The layers that you have, they are still very enterprise grade, even though it might not be as enterprise as SAP or Oracle, but it's a big system. So when you are going to be in that upper mid-market space or lower enterprise space, that's where Microsoft Dynamics 365 F&O is going to be a great fit. So that's number one. If you enjoyed this video, it is also going to be available in the audio format on Google, Spotify, as well as Apple. So you might want to check there. And then we publish these videos on a weekly basis. So hit the subscribe button if you have not. And if you have not checked our digital transformation report for 2024, we have a lot of these lists as part of that. So you might want to get that. Again, we are going to include the link of that. We also have the detailed article that is going to have much more comprehensive insights. So you might want to check that. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.